Baby, make like I do with the punches and roll me home. Oh, you can't leave your cross.
Yeah, another episode coming at ya. Toking with Topher. It's our episode 5, Scott.
Holy cow.
Yeah, we're
5.
cranking them out. We're cranking them out like crazy.
Well, I've only done 4.
Well, yeah.
I missed one.
You
I
stuck
was
it in
an
my
asshole.
ass on that one. It literally set me up, too. I had the Gruen guys in. By the way, I have a special guest. Branden is with us from Missouri Wild Alchemy. Cannabis dispensary. Man, you're right out here by us.
Yeah, we're right there in Lake St. Louis, man.
Yeah.
We're right across from the SSM Hospital, next to the El Mazine Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
So we partner well with them for sure.
Great spot. Go get some weed and then go smoke.
Is that the only
Elmazon.
location you guys have?
So as of now, yeah, we
Okay.
started off with 2, back almost 2.5 years ago now.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you guys are in right at the beginning.
Oh, we were 5th one open in the state.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Right on ground, hitting the ground running. Had that second location. We got rid of that one about 6 months after we actually started that operation.
Okay.
So it was about a year into our first operation. It just worked out better for us that way. We're true mom and pop guys, so
Yeah.
only one in the state.
I like that.
It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of work that
It's
goes
not-
behind these
yeah.
dispensaries.
Oh, man,
and
it's not
the
easy.
logistics
To
of
be
it.
a mom and pop. I mean, after what we've seen, we by the way, guys, we're just coming off 2 days at MoCan, and
I'm still
gonna tell
recovering.
you, we're still kind of
It's a
recovering.
good time for sure.
I never had a cannabis hangover. I don't think until.
Did you have one Wednesday?
I was a little foggy. I think once I smoked that 1 gram pre-roll on my way home, I think I felt better.
That set you
kind
back.
of like hair of the dog, you know.
You just got to get the right strain to get you picked back up, get the energy going.
That's all.
See,
And we're going to talk
that's
more
what I
about that
can't
today,
wait to dig into that.
about strains and leaning your high to be what you want. But right now, we're going to actually do our pre-roll of the day. It is berries and cherries. It's coming at us from Franklin's Stash. And I think it's more of a blunt. It looks like it's a blunt. It's
They
a 1
do
gram
some good
blunt.
blunts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
1 gram.
we're gonna light this baby up. It's 30. Oh wow! It looks like it's 34.67%.
THCA? THC.
Which it could be THC. Hey.
It is THCA. THC
So-
is 144%.
So actually, that one's going to come right in at about 30% for us.
Yeah.
So something I have to let the people know. Anybody that's
Let them
listening
know,
to this.
Branden. Let them know.
So THCA, guys, the state's definitely producing 30% flower for you guys, but it's not as prevalent as everybody thinks. THCA is what's in that raw flower. So just as you guys talked about a few episodes again, if you do not decarb that flower, you're not going to convert it to THC. So when we light that flower on fire, that's when it converts. That rate, scientists kind of tell us through science, is about 88% roughly.
Okay.
So that 34% on that THCA is going to convert down to right at about 29 and some percentage, point
Some
something.
change.
Yep.
That's
And we're going to
interesting.
add that 1.4 or whatever it was on this one. That's going to bump us right back just above 30. So this is definitely a quality one coming in there. But that's the truth, guys. I am tired of bud tenders out there telling you that you're getting 30% flower all day long and you're really smoking a 29. It's still quality flower. There's no need for us to lie to you guys.
Right.
Especially if it
Yeah.
has good terps. Like, we don't need to be out there spreading false information. There's
Right.
enough myths about cannabis. We don't need to be contributing to them.
And I think too. We're still early. You know, we're still infancy in the cannabis consumption world, right? So
100%.
I think eventually the percentages go away. You know, people become more educated, and they say, you know what, I don't need 35%.
No, I know.
Well, you need, yeah.
I know. I mean,
you know.
well, 1 hit, boom, that's probably enough for me. You know what I mean?
And I'll be the first to say, like, my tolerance, like, I'm a connoisseur, so I try to try my products. I want to be able to tell my patients, this is what it did for me. And my tolerance is way higher than the average person's, and you don't want it, guys. Like, it costs too much money.
it does.
This isn't the most cheapest medicine or product that there is out there for recreational use. So that lower tolerance, I always encourage people, keep it. Don't try to be taking 100 milligrams of edibles or smoking a 90% vape cart constantly. Like, keep that tolerance down. Let that flower be your power, truly.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I stick with the flower. I mean, I do edibles and stuff when we did the Gruen episode, I did like 500 CBG and 300 THC, like a 3-to-1, which was
That's
really
an
nice.
amazing high. I've had that a couple times.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about ratios,
Yeah.
and we're going to get into those in later episodes as we start getting into the more of that. But today, we wanted to bring you on because we had a couple of shows in place that we were going to do, but I felt like a show on terpenes would be a show that we wanted to do early in the game, because as we start to build on our educational catalog of shows, it'd be good to have the kind of knowledge about terpenes and what that means to cannabis that we smoke, because we talk a lot about it. And when you go into this, you hear about it, and we want to have terps. And I think it's good to be clear on what they are and what they affect in this plant. So,
and Brandon's a patient specialist actually at Wild Alchemy.
Oh,
So
that's
like
great.
if someone really has questions about that, they're going to Brandon.
right.
And that's exactly what I'm using for all of my patients, even to get somebody just a better high. But especially my medical patients. Those terpene guys, the best way that I've explained it to people that seems to kind of just come across the best way is essential oils.
Yeah.
FDA's essentially been studying those for us for 30 some odd years now. Peppermint. We know, like in FDA studies, they've told us that in an MRI, that's producing the same type of results in your brain as a Tylenol for pain relief.
Okay.
Not at the same level, because we're not giving as much in those situations, but it's reacting the same.
Right.
So that's how we know, like, those essential oils are what are actually called terpenes in peppermint. It relates to every
I never
plant.
even thought of that, but yeah, that's
It's not just
It's not
cannabis.
cannabis.
It's every smell that's out there. Fruits have terpenes, food has terpenes, everything. It's the smells that we smell.
Yeah, and
So-
we touched on that last week. We were talking about extracting terpenes, and he's like, just like you would extract terpenes from any other plant, and then it dawned on me, oh my gosh, yeah, everything's got terpenes.
Hey, guess what? They're using those other plant terpenes.
in the essential oils.
In the essential oils,
Right.
in that, but also in cannabis.
Right.
So a couple brands, they're doing distillate oil, which distillate is just straight THC. Everything else of that plant is kind of burned off in the process of making that, and we're left with that just
That was,
THC.
that was the big question we had. Like, is there
burnt off.
terpenes from? Is there a strain that's in that distillate? No.
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 You're adding that back in.
No,
With
like
the
clear
terpenes.
does. Like, people actually love that kind of flavor. We say it's no flavor, but there actually is a flavor. Lobster butter is what the clear is calling it. The clear cannabis, they do carts, and they have a lobster butter. That is just straight THC distillate. If anybody wants to know what does that taste like, go try that clear lobster butter. It's very hashy, essentially, if you can kind of just the general taste of weed, kind of, with
Yep.
no extraness to it. But those botanical terpenes, so there can either be cannabis-derived terpenes added back into those distillate carts, or there could be botanical terpenes.
Right.
So they may still have carotene, but it didn't come from a cannabis plant. It came from some other plant.
Interesting.
Or it could have the myrcene. Mangoes, that's a big one. And I am 100% telling you the truth. I do not experience edibles very well. Like, it takes a high dose to get me.
Yeah.
But a couple hundred for a nighttime effect, eat a mango. I noticeably have a difference in the way my body feels
If you eat a mango.
if I eat a mango.
Right.
Myrcene is super high in mangoes. Myrcene is that cannabis terpene, guys, that when people come in and they ask me for that, I need a couch lock indica, which
Okay.
not every indica is a couch lock. I have very
Right.
functionable indicas.
Yep.
But when they want that couch lock, I'm going looking at my terpenes and I'm finding any strand that I have in my store that's like 4 to 5%. I love 5 and over. We know that's sedative.
Yeah.
But you're getting up around 5% myrcene in a strand. That is going to be those couch lock. Put you down. You're probably going to fall asleep on it, but if
Right.
not, you are stoned behind those eyes and you're not getting up and you're calling for delivery.
Okay.
So do we know what this is?
Well, let me read to you what Healthline has written about. The question is, do terpenes get you high? Okay, that's just the question we put in, just to give you the Healthline answer to this, so that we can get a kind of a scientific background on it. Terpenes won't make you feel high in the traditional sense. Still, some are considered to be psychoactive because they affect the brain. While terpenes aren't intoxicating on their own, some think that they may impact the effects of THC, the cannabinoid responsible for the high feeling of cannabis.
That's 100% accurate.
So, and what we kind of
The entourage effect.
we kind of use, we kind of slant the high is the word we use. I want to slant the high towards this, or I want to slant the high towards that.
Yep.
It's kind of what we, kind of like it's almost like a road, like here I'm THC, what road am I going to turn? Oh, I'm myrcene and, carotene,
Yeah, because I have some that make me feel like I don't want to be high. Like I don't want to smoke again. I don't like that. And it doesn't
Limonene, linalool, and pinene.
Those are the three.
Those are the three when they're combined together. Linalool and limonene are two very popular sativa terpenes. They're going to provide that energetic kind of pick you up focus almost. Then you get that pinene, which is also that lemony piney type scent, so people confuse them a lot. But when you combine all those together, that creates a 100% just very stimulating head high. What you usually experience with that is all of a sudden you're like, wait, I feel my heartbeat, or I hear my heartbeat, I look down, and then you think your chest is beating 5 inches off your chest, and you're just,
Oh my God,
you're
it's
getting too
explaining
much
how
in
I
your own
feel right
head.
now.
Yeah. But
Okay.
that's a combination of those three almost 90% of the time. They're just too overstimulating. Even for me, I'm a sativa guy. Terpenoline, I can do a whole freaking segment for you guys on terpenoline. Me and a few other bartenders or managers love that. We keep it in our store strictly for us. It's actually a sedative, anti-anxiety terpene.
Oh, okay.
So you get that diesel strand is a strong strand for that one. Lilac diesel. And then there's a few other ones out there. Sap from Flora is a great affordable one. But that terpenoline combines with that linalool and usually limonene, and then we're usually going to throw one other one in there. It's going to be humulene or ocimene, and I'm probably not saying that right, guys. Those Latin words I don't know.
And actually, guys,
they're actually very hard to pronounce.
I actually will have posted here, the lemony, the chart for us. As we're talking, I'm going to be posting the names. Everything comes out of your mouth, so people can kind of get some recognition with it too. Because I know it's hard to keep track of them. I think I had 16 of them in my list, right, of terpenes in my chart. And then I looked at another chart, there was like 19. I'm like, God, what do I got to track here? So I think we'll probably keep them short,
There's about 5 to 7
Main
ones that show up
Yeah.
mostly, but what we're figuring out, especially from big grower coming on the scene, doing living soil, robust cannabis, they're producing still, around the 3 to 4 on their high percentage of terpenes, which is a great terpene percentage, total terpene percentage. But they're producing a large number of the smaller percentage. They may have 30 total terpenes as opposed to maybe 15 that show up in testing.
Gotcha.
We had a strand, guys, I'm not even kidding you, Finnish Frost.
I've had it.
Savory sausage.
Yeah.
I
I've
mean,
had it. It was
breakfast
great.
sausage.
Yeah, it was
But that's
amazing.
the first strain that I've ever had that truly had like a savory. And I mean, I'm 38, going to be 39. I haven't smoked at all, but I've smelled a lot of those things. There's stuff coming from above us that really has not been smelled too much.
Really?
And it's because we think, kind of what we're concluding that is that living soil, they're producing a wide range of these smaller terps, not just those 5 major ones, and creating some amazing
Because of the
effects.
living soil.
Yeah.
Because of the living soil.
Yeah, and we talked about. I think we mentioned about the labeling and putting the terpenes on the labels.
Yeah.
And making sure that because as we progress educationally in this adventure, then we're going to know. Smokers like us, we're going to know.
That's-
10, 15 years ago, me and you didn't give a shit about terpenes.
Not-
We didn't know
well,
what a terpene was.
Let me tell you this though.
know?
So I'm 38, my late 20s. I didn't know what terpenes were.
Right.
But I knew cannabis was medically treating me. So 16 years old, doing the Coca-Cola challenge,
Right.
which is a bench press of just a bar 100 times as fast as you can. My mom had to come to school and get me that day because I had my first panic attack. I couldn't lift 45 pounds off my chest. That's the day I figured out that she suffered from those, and I
Stop.
probably would. But what happened that day, changed kind of my whole perspective on how's my life going to be, this and that. Why do I feel like this? I was completely out of control in my body that day.
Yeah.
Needless to say, short story short, I got off all my depression medications mid-20s. My parents hated the fact that I never gave up smoking as I grew up, but I knew this was helping me. And I actually did for a little bit. And I went to my parents, I looked at them, I said, this stuff helps me. I'm starting back. I want you to know this is what I'm doing. Late 20s, got off that. So 4 or 5 years ago, I had figured out terpenoline, that one I was talking about.
Yes.
That's my anti-anxiety and
Okay.
CBD. I can't discredit my CBD. I take 25 milligrams a day. But terpenoline is my Xanax for that panic attack.
Right.
It's a
wonder if that
strand
would-
that I can smoke.
I like this.
Do you think that works just for you in that
No.
factor? Or do
So
you think
last
anyone that
2.5
suffers
years,
from
brother,
panic
I'm not
attacks?
kidding you, I have changed people's lives. Me and
This is
Sarah
the
are
terpene
other.
that I wanted to hear about. I suffer from. I've not
You don't
recently.
suffer. You're not a
No,
victim.
it's panic attacks or like
Do you?
a chronic panic.
Oh, yeah, the
absolutely.
panic attacks.
Yeah.
Not from smoking weed.
No,
Okay.
no.
But-
Sorry if it came out.
I was like,
I'm
oh,
suffering,
God.
man. I'm
But
just
you're not a
terrible.
suffering pot smoker.
But some people do. Like for
Yeah.
me, in my 30s, what the thing was with me, why I stayed on my Xanax until literally, essentially, this medical market came to us and I could know what I was getting, was because when I went to my buddy's house one week, I had one, maybe two choices. I was limited on my price. You know, I paid for a bag and I had to make that last a whole week. And some weeks that would come home and that first bowl I smoked, I'm like, shit, this is going to be a bad week because it
it didn't have-
induced that
yeah.
anxiety in me.
Yeah, yeah.
And then other weeks I'd get a bag and I'd be like, I don't gotta take Xanax all week. Like, this is freaking awesome, you know?
And at first, we always start out with, well, what strain was it? You know, because then we're like, I only want German poison. I only want German poison. You know, but then when you break it down, obviously, like you did, it comes down to something else.
But the thing too back then was I asked the guy, hey, you got what you had last week? He's like, oh no, I got this new one in. I couldn't order Lilac Diesel. I couldn't order Diesel Train. I couldn't go down the road
So
and
it's
talk
the
to the
diesel
guy.
lines that really have that.
So a lot of the diesel lines,
diesel
100%.
lines.
That's coming through there on that one. And it's not necessarily going to be that sour diesel because New York sour diesel, one of my favorite strands of all time. I am
we've grown that.
very careful with that strand because that strand is 100% get in your head, make you think that your heart's racing and all that. But it's very energetic and pick you up like on your worst day.
That's what I do.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I definitely want to. I'm going to officially pose the question so that we can maybe get an official kind of answer for our listeners.
Absolutely.
The biggest thing that I hear about cannabis smoking. Okay, so I'm a cannabis smoker. Everybody I meet, oh, you smoke a lot? Yeah, I'm known for it. So a lot of people, oh, I don't smoke cannabis. You know, said, oh, you don't smoke cannabis? Okay, cool. Yeah, well, it makes me feel. Yeah, I get really anxiety. I get really paranoid, right? And so I would like to, you know, and I think in my head, like you, I'm like, well, I already know. Well, the right weed for you would work, right?
100%.
So I would, and I know you can't say this with 100%, but let's talk about anxiety. When you get high, if you're feeling anxiety, is there a terpene that helps reduce that? So that would be the strain I'd be looking for.
Terpenoline.
Terpenoline.
That 100%. I have used that. Our inventory manager,
Can you
she
spell
uses
that?
it. So Terpen. I don't know the rest.
I started typing it up,
forever,
but I will just put the right name.
So, and there's two of them. There's terpenolol, which is very close to terpenoline, and then there's terpenoline, which I know is the one that ends in the ENE. I don't.
That's what I was gonna say. Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other one's NOL. Yeah.
Yeah. So the one they don't even put the other T one in. There's a transneurodlytyl,
Okay.
and then there's a terpenoline.
Yes.
Terpenoline.
That's it, brother.
Say
And to
it!
tell you, it's a
Say it!
sedative type anti-anxiety terpene.
Yeah,
Is that what it says?
Antibacterial, antifungal, anti-insomnia. Yep. Yeah, I mean, and this was like the 16 one that I had. You know, there's always like
There's
so many charts.
so many different charts.
Yeah.
But when you
Yeah, it's
combine
calming,
those,
anti-anxiety. Yeah.
it's a sedative type terpene. So when you put that with
Terpenoline.
here's the great thing about
I gotta
that.
remember this.
Not only do you have to use it for a panic attack, so that's my go-to for. That's the one thing people come in, they're like, I need a sativa or I need an indica. So my next question to them, I kind of throw people off. I'm like, well, do you want energetic sativa or a put you asleep sativa? And I have people that literally laugh at me when they're like, put you asleep sativa.
Yeah.
Raspberry diesel from Gold Rush Cannabis right now. It literally has its second dominant terpene is 6% of myrcene. So, like I said earlier, 5% over sedative. So it also has linalool and limonene, two very stimulating head type pick you up
Yeah. Sounds good.
terpenes.
Right.
So that strand, when you smoke that, it's that super sedative, 100% hits you behind the eyes, super heavy. You know you just smoked. Everybody in the room knows you just smoked.
Or at least
And maybe
you
your
think
eyes
they
don't
do.
show it, but you think they do.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. But then
That's
that's also a strand 30, 45 minutes later, yeah, you can 100% fall asleep on
Is
that,
that
brother.
myrcene?
It's because of the myrcene in there.
Myrcene. Yeah, I was just gonna tell you. So in the anti-anxiety side, we definitely have their terpenoline.
Yep.
Anti-anxiety. Also, and that is under the medical applications. That's the only one of the terpenes that only has anti-anxiety. Okay, so the rest of them have like 2 or 3 medical applications.
That's the only one that has anti.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
If you also are looking for some anti-anxiety effects with terpenes, borneol, Borneol.
Borneol.
Spell it for me.
Borneol.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's going to be one that shows up in those lower levels.
Okay.
But it's funny you bringing that up because there's a robust strain, and I'm not for sure which one it is in my store right now, that's the third top terpene, which I even commented the day it came in. I'm like, guys, who's seen this? Like, we were looking that up.
Did it have the terpene?
Calming, stress relief?
No, it does not.
They give a couple strains for it too. Golden Haze, OG Kush has actually got that strain in it, as well as so terpenoline, Ghost Train Haze, Orange Cookies. Those are two that
I brought the Ghost OG rolled up with me too.
Nice.
I made another one.
Limonene is actually anti-anxiety and antidepressant. That is, and then also linalool is also anti-anxiety, and that's a sleep aid as well. So I'll actually go through some of these, as we talk about them. I can kind of read off, what they say. At least what
terpenoline. I gotta remember that.
Terpenoline, or any of the L's.
Just getting the basics of them is going to help people 100%. Like my rec patients that come in that ask for that high, give me the highest percentage, and then we talk them into that 18 that you can smell it because it's coming out of you open it up and out my front door, you're smelling it.
Yeah.
They come back to like, okay, like how did you know that this strand was going to be, it's the terpenes, it's the smells, and it's also not just what's in there, it's the percentage of them. Like I said, myrcene, there being that sedative one, it'll also tell you that in those lower levels, especially at 1 or 2%, that's where myrcene becomes more like energetic, pick you up.
Okay.
So they can do stuff at different levels.
Yeah.
So
and one of the new rules that I've heard, not if you want to get high, when you smoke good weed, you go by smell.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that a step further. I tell every one of my patients, and I'm doing it right now because I'm going to tell you guys a secret. If you ever walk into I'm going to say if you ever walk into our dispensary, so something I want you guys to know about us, when you come to visit us, you've been in there, Topher, you're going to smell that flower. You're going to look at it, you're going to see it.
Right.
High Profile is going to do that for you too, but they're going to give you it out of a jar that they've opened 300 times a day and let everybody else smell. Yeah, our stuff sealed from the day it left the factory for you.
Right.
But I could forget what I was even going with that when I was so excited. Oh, the goosebumps, man. If you ever smell a strand and you get goosebumps, buy that strand and buy as much of it as you can.
I would
because
for sure.
I promise you, like essential oils. I'm telling you.
I see what you're saying.
If your body is reacting, like just talking about this, man, feel me, I'm getting goosebumps.
I can see them. I can see it. Yeah.
So just talking about this gives me these. So when you do that, if you smell that strand and you get goosebumps, think about if you smoke that and you get goosebumps on the inside of your body.
Yeah.
Like think about how good your body feels when you're getting goosebumps. Now think about getting goosebumps. That's what you're doing.
It's an essential oil. So like
it's your strand.
So when you buy so if I go buy terpenes, right? Say can you buy these terpenes and then put them back in your distillate?
100%.
So we could go buy. Now, could you also? This is a crazy question. As we were talking about essential oil, could you burn it like as an essential oil and a fragrant?
100%.
Yeah, because it's scent.
That's
That's the sensory
and that's what
part.
people don't
That's
realize
crazy,
that
man.
you're inhaling that scent. Like it's not like you're smelling it, but people don't realize that your body is processing that and everything through the same type of receptors.
So these terpenes, is that what they're using? Yeah, I'm doing it. Sorry. Is that what they're using in like candles and stuff?
100%, brother.
Okay.
Any smell in this world is a terpene.
Has a scent to it. Wow.
Anything that has a scent is a terpene.
My mind was just blown. That's crazy.
Let me go back
We're
to
giving our fans time to recover from this mind-dropping information.
It's crazy.
Something you talked about
Never thought
earlier
about it that way.
with the way that the terpenes interact and provide. They don't give you a psychoactive high, but they can influence it. So a little bit about the endocannabinoid system. The whole system in our body that is processing all of this, like whether you're recreational or medically using cannabis, your endocannabinoid system is what it's interacting with. So your endocannabinoid system interacts with your central nervous system and your endocrine system to achieve homeostasis in the body. But in that system, you have CB1 and you have CB2 receptors. CB1 receptors, about 90% so of those are found in the brain. That's going to take that THC. So then you have the CB2 receptors. Those take the terpenes and the CBDs, especially the N's, the G's, all of them. All the other cannabinoids, essentially, of the flower.
Right.
They process those. 90% of those are found throughout our body, in our organ, tissues, stuff like that. That's where you're getting some of the medical benefit in those parts of the body. But you do have about 10% of those receptors found in the brain. So that's where those terpenes are interacting with a little bit of the brain, because there are about 10 receptors that are receiving those up there. And like Scott said, it's the entourage effect.
Right.
100%.
I feel like
That's so
I
fascinating, man.
I was high one time and I was really thinking about terpenes, and I think I had like 3 terpenes was on the list. It was like myrcene, linalool, and limonene or something. And I was thinking, man, it's kind of like if I had a car made out of all 3 of those terps and its passenger was the THC rolling through my brain, dude. You know, I mean, it kind of feels like that. Like it just.
You're thinking about it a whole different way, man. But I know what you mean. It's. I don't want to call it a rabbit hole, but right now it almost is for some people because they'll start talking about it or reading about it. I've been reading about it for 10 years, and I still get into
The mix
3 or
of
4
it.
hours.
And then you start thinking, well, then you can mix this and this. So like your fucking your vape carts technically could almost be not prescription, but almost customized. You know, like, hey man, I got anxiety like the balls out. So you get a 98% distillate, and you put the ones in there for it, and maybe you have a little depression. We make sure you get those too. You know, you put those. I mean, that's crazy.
I'm just gonna go on it for 1 second because everybody talks about it and we know what needs to happen, but that comes with federal legalization. Coming from the medical field, clinical studies, they're federally funded. We need that federal. We need this off class 1 schedule.
Absolutely.
That way
Come on,
we
dude.
can do those
It's
tests.
ridiculous.
Like the whole thing right now
Don't get me
is
started.
we can tell you how Xanax is going to interact with your body and all this because we literally
Done
have
the
clinical
research.
studies and done the
Right.
research.
Right.
Let's do this research. It's going to take us probably 100 years, guys, to like get this down to where what you just said.
Well, fuck.
But that's the change that we need. That's what we need.
Yeah, but
that's
fuck-
how we get there.
Up until fucking now, they just the goddamn tests and studies that they're doing are like, how does THC affect the body? Like, bitch, there's a lot of other shit going on with this than just that. You know
Just
what I'm
that,
saying?
like, how does it medically affect the body?
Right.
Yeah, is there a medical effect on a terpene basis? Like certain terpenes help with certain
Yeah,
ailments?
there's
like,
listen, humulene is good for anti-inflammatory.
And it's FDA approved.
Pinene, its only medical application is anti-inflammatory. So if you're fucking swelled up, it gets pinene.
Well, but I mean, I'm talking about things like, what about things like MS?
No. See, that's where they have
No,
not.
yeah,
Because the FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration, they only have so much money. So they're essentially just doing enough research to say, no, this shows medical benefit of some sort or is not necessarily medical benefit like with the FDA. They're just saying that it's not going to be harmful to you and could show benefit to you if you take it, essentially. But that's where we can use some of this evidence that they're doing for us for free, essentially.
Right.
And use that.
Yeah.
And kind of hope to prove, listen, this is why we need this federal declassification, and let's start on this now. So 100 years from now, it's an option.
Let me ask you this. So gummies.
Yep.
Okay, so your brand's of gummies. We know it's made from distillate, which has everything stripped out. It's just THC distillate.
Mm-hmm.
I've got gummies. There is no terpenes added to gummies. Am I correct or not?
So that's not correct. So
Okay.
they are. 90% of the makers out there, they're going to add some sort of terpene to it.
Okay.
Cannabis or botanical. That's how they're going to kind of tell you that indica or sativa effect.
Right. Well, we
Hybrids.
did talk about that.
Yeah.
How they use CBD and terpenes to be able to kind of categorize it, which we think is bullshit.
100%.
Okay. And
So-
thank you. See.
Coming from the
So
medical
far,
field,
the
and I'm
top
gonna
people
use-
have said that if it's distillate, it's not a sativa or indica.
Okay, so just like we know from a clinical study, they're going to give 1,000 people a water pill, and they're going to give 1,000 people a drug that's going to give you a symptom or a reaction.
Right.
25% of those 1,000 that took the water pill are going to have the same reaction. Their body will have that reaction because they think they took that pill.
Right.
So, trying to bust anybody's bubble here, guys. I'm sorry if I'm going to ruin it, but
That's the bubble.
That
if
was
you
like
are smoking a distillate
cool
that is
analogy.
pretty much indicated
Yeah.
sativa or indica and it is not cannabis-derived terpenes put back into it, I'll give them some credit on cannabis-derived terpenes. We're
Yeah.
definitely going in the right direction with
Right.
that. But when you're smoking something that is super fruity or tastes like banana or something like that,
Right. Which
I hope I'm not going to keep you up all night today if you're sitting there puffing on an indica right now, but
Yeah.
that's 100% a placebo effect.
right.
You think it's going to make you,
You
tired,
do.
so
I-
it
100%.
makes you tired.
Let's just, for the record, I'm going to officially say the only way to know if it's indica sativa is going to be on your flower. That's
That-
100. That's
truly.
it. Anything
So-
else is just suspect.
And the next step is full spectrum. So
Yes.
that's going to be, there's gummies now coming to the market.
Right.
So Zen.
Missouri's own has a 2-to-1 out there. CBG to
Missouri's
THC.
finest.
Missouri's finest.
Yep.
Is that what it is? Missouri's
Edibles?
finest?
But not just the ones combining CBN. What a full spectrum can be, or even a live resin, is they will actually use the whole full extraction cannabis oil.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's going to include
That's
those
great.
natural terpenes. It's going to include the natural.
So how do they do
CBN.
that?
So the same process that they're making the concentrates and stuff like that. It's just another breakdown. So
Okay.
live resin. Let's clear that up a little bit because
Yeah.
everybody. One question I always get is I have a category like on my menu for concentrates or vape cartridge that's cured live resin.
Right. And
So-
we've talked a lot about the distillates and the different carts.
Yep.
So please tell us.
So when you move into that live resin, that's where you're getting more of that live flower effect. So live resin is going to be classified as a plant that about a week before harvest, they're going to cut that down. And then at that point, they're going to flash freeze it. And then they're going to extract the cannabis oil from every aspect of that plant. You're going to get all the natural CBN, which CBDs and all those, which right now, most of the strains in Missouri aren't super high. We're getting a few 1-to-1s and stuff like that. But you'll get all that plus those natural terpenes. So then they make that oil into concentrates, cartridges, such.
And that's live resin.
That's live resin.
Right.
So then if you're going to work with that cured resin, what that's going to be is that flower is going to go ahead and go to the end process. They're going to pick it off. They're going to cure it just like they normally would, but then they're going to extract the oil from it. They're not going to make it like they're doing the distillate and burn everything off. They're going to do it like they do the live resin, and it's going to leave some, not as much as the true live resin.
Okay.
But
And
it's
that's
gonna
cured.
leave-
That's
That's
cured.
called cured resin.
Cured
essentially.
resin.
Yep.
So we got live resin, cured resin,
Yep.
and then
Rosin.
rosin.
That's the king of all.
Okay.
So, and 100%, I'll back it up all day long. Rosin is basically the closest thing that some of us older guys that maybe have seen those old hash bars that look like a marble,
Yep.
nice and shiny.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, I hope my stuff wasn't made that way, but the way that was made back in the day was guys sat around a mountain and all day long they just took pounds of weed and leaves and rubbed it in their hands. Guy came through at the end of the day with a scraper, scraped their hands. Boom.
I did hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how that was made back in,
Yeah.
back in the older days.
I've never heard that. That's crazy.
So we're just modernize it. So our stuff is going to look a little bit better now. It's not going to have all those dirt and grimes from the hands and stuff.
Pieces
We're
of
gonna
a
glass.
little
take-
bit more
we're
clear
gonna take-
blonde.
Is that a fennel seed
like,
in here?
like yeah,
Yeah, is
yeah.
it there's some skin? Like, what did you have on your fingernail there, bud? So, but no, what we're doing
I
is
got pink
much.
eye.
Yeah, we're much cleaner than that now, guys. So we're gonna take an industrial heat press, basically.
Okay.
We
You're
took
just
an
using a heat
industrial
press
press,
it, yeah.
and you're gonna press that flour directly into a little baggie, and oil just seeps out of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, at
That's
that
what she
point, I'm not for sure on the whole processes of it because they process it a little bit different, whether it's going to go in a card or just be like a rosin. But no chemical is ever introduced to that. It's just heat and pressure.
Pressure. Yeah.
There's also ice water hash, which is bubble hash.
Bubble hash.
Some people that aren't doing it per se in the industry tell you that that's a solvent, process because
That's
you're
a
using
solventless,
water.
yeah.
That okay. So anybody with common sense,
We've
that's
actually-
water.
we-
Like,
we've
solvent, that's butane.
We've
That's
actually-
ethanol,
CO2,
that's,
thank you, yeah,
CO2.
so-
Yeah, we've actually worked with solvents before.
Yeah, we did the
There-
that RSO thing for a buddy.
Yeah.
that we processed, and
That was scary, but we did it.
yeah, we
It's-
use naphtha because that's what it calls for.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh man,
I know guys that do that all the time, and it's definitely a risky process.
But we did
If
it.
you're
Yeah, great.
and you can do it at home.
Yeah.
I'm not giving out any ideas how to do it, but also
we did a whole show on it.
I
we
think-
basically
I
gave
don't
him the
know.
keys and said, "Here, do this."
Yeah,
You guys
we
see
did.
some of these like manufacturing, like getting
Oh,
into
yeah,
manufacturing. You guys understand like these processes, like these machines, like it is
Yeah.
some crazy stuff.
And I think that's
it's-
why a lot of this, I like the hash looks, like I'm used to, was Amsterdam years ago. Like, I think it was 2004 was first time I went to Amsterdam,
Okay.
getting hash there. It was like you had every kind of different hash. And I remember hash came in a little bar back in the 80s with,
Yep.
my parents smoking weed and stuff
Yep.
and dealing weed and hash. And it was very hard to get still back then. It was very much a old process. And now we've seen hash grow. Now you got not clear hash, but like blonde hash. And it's whiter. It's not as dark and
Yeah, and you still
disgusting
get some of
looking.
that dark stuff. Illicit just had one that I tell a bunch of my. I
The
won't say
listens
old
put out some
heads.
hash.
They put out some bubble hash.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah, and it came out just like shiny, and it settled to more of a mound, not a marble, but it had that nice glare to it.
Yeah.
I had a couple of, I call them old heads that came in, and I gave it to them, and they were like, "All right, this is close as I've got in a few years."
Really?
So, it's definitely that look. I think, like you said, we were talking about the placebo effect. I think it's just a nostalgia thing. You see that, and you're like, "Okay, I know what this is going to do to me. It did to me 20 years ago," and you're like looking for that.
How do you?
Just
Just a question. Good, because I had a friend that used to be in the hash business, and he brought some over, and we so let's do it old school, and we got the cardboard out, and we like took a pin and stuck it through the cardboard.
Yeah.
And then we took like a chunk of the hash and put it on the top of the pin, and then lit it, and then put the jar over it, and just had a straw and inhaled it like that, like old school. He's like, "Oh man, can you remember the old days when this is how you did it?"
Right.
Now obviously we have our tools are like
Those glass hash things are cool.
Yeah.
That you can light it on the little needle or whatever the pin.
yeah, fuck
put it
yeah.
in there, light it,
So-
put the cover over it, then pull the little thing.
Yeah,
It's like,
dude, it's so inventive.
Look how
Or as I sit here and hit
classy
my
this is.
electronic
Exactly.
dab tool. to
Now we're
boot.
just like, I got my Luca.
Going a little handheld dabber,
Yeah, hash made easy.
I saw that. I'm like, that thing's massive.
It works great.
Show that on the camera. Show that on the camera.
This is
So
the-
it's that ooze booster, man. Come to my store, get one, guys.
Yeah,
this
that's
thing,
cool.
and that Luca is great.
How much do you put in that?
So I can put, like right now, what I have in there is probably, if you were gonna do like a dab, like in a rig, what you would put in that rig.
Yeah.
And you would burn that up in 1 or 2 puffs. Most
Right.
people, if you got big lungs, yeah, you're going all the way down, but you'll probably get 2 or 3 off that.
Right.
This is gonna go through like a 15-second heat session. If I was using it a little bit more frequently, get it all done in once, I would just press it kind of when I want to hit it. But I'm probably going to hit this 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah,
pass
you're
it to you. We go back and forth a
Yeah.
couple times.
That's pretty cool.
And it's literally the amount that you would just throw into that little like dab rig.
Right.
So it's going that much farther, and you're still getting
Yeah.
So what's it called again?
It's called the Ooze Booster.
Ooze Booster. So
Yeah.
get to the
Nice
store and
little
get it.
ceramic cup, man. It's nice. They're awesome. And Luca, that was my go-to before I picked this one up. I still have that. That's convenient. That little tip on it. That's a great way to conserve it.
That
as well,
thing's been
guys.
through battle after Mocan.
Well, these type of things revolutionized like dabs.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I mean, even for me, so I'm 38, like I said, about 12 years ago.
Yeah.
I went to a buddy's house and he's like, "Here, come hit this," and I'm like, "Dude, we smoke weed." And he's like,
right.
"No, here, look at this," and I'm like, "I know what that is, dude. I don't need to look at that." And he's like, "Smell it." And I smelled it, but it looked like something else, you know. And he had a torch and this big glass rig and everything, and I'm like, "Dude, what?" Like, I know it's been a couple years, but like, we used to smoke weed.
Yeah.
But I smelt it and it smelled like that. And so just to go from that and like to be able to make it so convenient for people, I literally have grandmas. I mean, there's dabbing grandma on YouTube, I know. But the number of grandmas that love concentrates because of something like this now.
Right.
They don't have to use that torch. It's convenient.
I
for
always
them.
called it the crack of cannabis.
It is.
Because when I went to Denver, when Denver first made recreation illegal, you could go fucking fly out to Denver to go get weed. Like, holy shit, it's legal. You fly out there and get your weed and know where to fucking smoke it. But I found a lounge, right? And I walk into the fucking lounge, consumption lounge, and they get the fucking big ass rig. There's like 10 people around the table. This torch was 4 foot long, and they're fucking hitting this thing. And I'm looking at my friend. I'm like, what in the fuck is going on in here, man? We just walked into a trap house, And I just shied away from it because for me to do it, I gotta pull a fucking rig out and do get a welding, all the shit. But the Luca, man, it revolutionized the fucking game for me.
What the fuck is going on?
I was freaked out. It looked like they were doing, and they kept doing it, like lighting the torch in it and putting shit in it. I'm like, dude, this is crack cocaine.
These things changed my tea breaks. So my tea break now consists of stop hitting the use for 3 or 4 days.
They do.
Like, lay off the concentrate.
Things just got really wild.
I think if anybody was like, could I have tea or marijuana? I think it's instantly going to change. That's great though. I mean, so you could pack that up and take it in your pocket, and then you have it. You don't have to, pull your thing out. That's good.
Oh, yeah.
Hope he's not pulling his thing out.
Try not to.
He's conservative. Yeah.
Definitely.
We did spend $80 at Whataburger. You remember?
And we didn't get half our shit.
I know.
So
Okay, so back on
Damn.
terpenes, guys.
Yeah,
Fuck,
we gotta
man.
tell
You
the
guys.
story. We got to tell the story. So Whataburger, we're driving through the drive-through. So they both order.
Well, we
And
went to
I'm like,
we were at Mocan all day, doing the whole thing. We were stoned the entire day, and then when you thought you were smoked too much weed, the after party starts, and then that's when everybody really brings out the weed, and So we were pretty stoned and drunk, and we were like, we got something to eat. We're gonna go to a fucking IHOP. I've been trying to go to IHOP for 2 days, and they would blow me off.
we kept on.
So we go to fucking Whataburger. It was gonna close in like 10 minutes. So we're like, fuck it, let's just get in line, man. Maybe we can make it through. We had a designated driver, and we got our order, and we fucking looked at the menu like idiots, and we're like, "I'll fucking take 2 of those triple cheeseburgers, make everything large, give me a number 4."
So you guys basically filmed a commercial for Whataburger.
Yeah, pretty
dude.
much.
Yeah. So we get all
I'm
the
trying
shit.
to order, and Dave's fucking. Who's driving. He's rolling the window up as I'm ordering. So I'm following the window. I'm like, I need 2 double cheeseburgers, and these guys are just laughing at me like I'm some kind of idiot.
Because we just kept ordering burgers. We had like 8 burgers. There's 3 of us.
I didn't even
No
finish
fries
the
with that,
one
guys?
I had.
No fries?
What's
Yeah,
that?
we all had fries.
Okay.
Large
Yeah,
fries.
fries. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
You gotta
So
have fries.
we get all this shit. We get him in the goddamn car. He hands the bag to Scotty, and Scotty goes, "Wait, stop the car. Let me check the bag." And we just started making fun of him, like, fuck you.
Dad, check the bag.
We get to the fucking hotel. Only half our shit was there. Like we were missing
Dad,
a whole
you
bag.
check the bag.
Let me check. I
know.
would have had it, man.
You should have.
So
You had that instinct.
We each got 2 burgers.
2
and-
triple burgers with
and,
everything.
We all got 1.
Yeah.
Well, I
couldn't
mean,
even
I don't
finish
think
my
you guys
first one.
starved too much. There,
No,
but,
we were fat
I
as
mean,
hog.
Yeah.
I couldn't
I
finish
forgot
it.
how big their burgers were.
Oh,
I mean,
man, that's
holy
Shit,
shit,
bro.
So, Whataburger is one of my favorite.
Oh yeah.
They should be a sponsor. Call them, will you?
I
Oh,
mean,
shit.
the
I'll
closest
drive out there.
one is probably there, or
It is,
Springfield, but I
Kansas
almost
City.
would drive to either
is there
one.
one in Springfield,
There's
too?
one in Springfield there, and I don't know if it's actually open yet. But when I went with my wife to Branson this spring, I saw that there was a sign for it there.
For Whataburger.
So yeah,
Damn.
Mm.
We need one out here.
Yes. Well, Patrick Mahomes bought that franchise in KC, so that's why that's there.
That's why it's
Is- yeah. So yeah,
Is he from Texas? I didn't know that.
that's in Kansas City.
No, I know that. I said, is he from Texas to know about, like, where was he from? Because I think Whataburger was the South.
Scott, I don't know his whole backstory.
I was just
I'm
curious.
sorry.
but Texas,
don't
I
know
think,
the
is
guy.
where it originated.
Right,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
I
right.
evolved.
That's
Yeah,
why
yeah.
I was wondering if he was from there, and that's why he brought the franchise, because he liked it so much. Like, well, hell,
Yeah,
I'm a
that's
billionaire.
that's a good question.
I want a Whataburger.
You know what?
Open one up here. You know,
When I
I'll
talk
buy
to
the
him,
land
Make a
for you.
call.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. He can
when
get
I
this
call
done.
him tomorrow, I'll ask him.
All right, yeah,
He's
let
like
me
I
know.
fucking know.
Yeah, we'll update everybody next week.
Patrick
I'm gonna
Mahomes.
fuck you. I'm
How
gonna
did
make
you
you
get into
fucking
this?
call. I will. That's it. I'm
I
not
know.
doing another
You
show.
know what? I will have to
Now,
fuck-
I'm not
I will
doing
email.
another show until
Okay.
you find
I will
me out there.
screenshot. I will screenshot a email to Patrick Mahomes asking him how he came about the Whataburger. Is he from Texas? And we'll find out. We'll see
Yeah.
if he
I
answers.
will.
See, he may though. He's kind of
That's an easy question. But yes or no? He can fucking
Yeah.
yes or no. He can take 3 words, 3 letters.
My neighbor coach would probably know where he's from.
Oh, good. Okay, I'll call him and then say, hey.
He'd
I
probably
got to
know.
fake this email for Scott.
we can call Sherry right now. Get Coach on the phone.
Coach on the phone. Hey, motherfucker.
I'll call Ty and be like, hey, Ty, get right the side by up. Ask Coach this.
I got to fake this email. I need to know an answer. All right, back to terpenes. I did have a great terpene chart, but I did want to kind of, I was kind of impressed with some of the information out there on the internet with this stuff. I would highly suggest you guys going out. I mean, if you're watching the show, you're a fucking cannabis geek like we are. You know,
you're passionate.
you're
Guys.
passionate.
Get a notebook.
You know what
write
these
your terpenes.
You do know what these mean in a certain way. Pull it out, man. I mean, start looking around. I found it kind of exciting to look at the packaging now. You know, when I get flour and stuff to see what I can find on terpenes, because as you know, like it was last week when we smoked something Kim Dog. It was Star.
Oh, the clover.
Starfire Kim Dog.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
And
good
you
one.
were like, man, I really like that, and it had the terpene profile on it, and we kind of read that out, you know. It dawned on me and was like, yeah, I mean, for me, I don't give a shit, but for someone like you or for a lot of people, I mean, that slanting of the high can mean everything between a fucking great time and this sucks.
Yep.
You know,
100%.
And it's a fine line. Like
For a lot of people, it is.
Yeah, you
like
gotta
so
really
their
dial it in.
endocannabinoid system's never been activated. So especially like even somebody like you who are a little bit lower tolerance, your system it's activated. You're moistened your endocannabinoid system, but you're not saturated.
Right.
On an everyday basis. So sometimes that gets a little dry. You throw THC in there, it acts like just a water and dry sponge, just absorbs it all up in there, and you kind of get that little one toke over the line feeling for a little bit
Right.
until that receptor kind of
Says,
slows
all
out. and
right,
says,
I'll let you go.
I'm gonna use a little
You're
this up,
all right.
and you're okay, man. Breathe.
Yeah.
So
Just remember, breathe. That's it.
that's honestly
you're
it.
breathing.
Breathe. Get up and walk. Most
Yeah.
people do something like they
If you
feel like they
you
can't, but
make yourself
make
do it.
yourself. Yeah, you can't.
I was going to read off some. Here's some interesting things. So, Humaline. I can't.
No,
I don't know
it's
why
Humaline.
they.
You're good on that.
Humaline. I don't know why they
No,
fucking
we're
named
both
this
good on
shit.
that one, bro.
Okay, Humaline. Interesting enough is one of its effects is appetite suppressant, right? Which is really interesting. And it's in like sour diesel, which we talked about.
Yep.
And
Could be
Girl
like
Scout
a weight loss.
and
weed.
Girl Scout cookies. So, for you fucking munchers who like, weed makes me tear up my cabinet because you're only drinking water every day. I mean, this might be a better weed for you, so you don't feel like you got to tear up Cheetos and fuck your diet.
Or Durban poison.
Durban poison, sativa.
So
Good
that's a
sativa. Yeah.
And it's not going to be the Humaline. It's going to be the THCV that shows up in Durban poison.
Oh, really?
So THCV, it's kind of new too. It's natural forming. It's not like that Delta 8 out there that people are trying to synthesize, and because it's so amount. There's some strands that produce about 2% of it.
Wow.
But one of its effects is actually anti-appetite, anti-suppressant or appetite suppressant. So what that does, especially a couple of gummies that we have, we've seen a couple ladies have success with, like literally losing weight, and I'm not saying drastic amounts, but they're trying to curb 5-10 pounds because they're snacking, and they're taking one of these a day, and they're literally not snacking anymore because they're taking it in the afternoon. They're not smoking weed and getting high and getting munchies. What they're doing is they're taking this gummy, and they're trying to curb that appetite. It's been successful for some.
That's crazy.
But it definitely works for most people getting munchies for sure.
Right.
That
Well,
one we
I was
know
thinking
we've
there's
had great
really one that
success
goes
with.
the other way, or just,
Yeah,
you're not hungry.
You eat your regular gummy and then you take one of these. And
So what you're saying is I don't always have to be a fat kid.
Yeah.
well, no, but sometimes
No.
it's fun to be a fat kid. 100%, brother.
Well, please don't think that when we were saying we got a new weight loss program. That we're
Yeah,
trying
no.
to sell
That's
you.
like, and I said, it's not like you're not going and losing hundreds of pounds on this, but you could. There's been people with that, and just the fact that you can literally start using cannabis every day. People have out there successfully regulated diabetes or reduced those type of things.
Wow.
So when all of that could lead to reduction of weight just by using cannabis.
Yeah.
I mean that's how we got into it, just with my mom being sick and figuring it out.
That's like a lot of people. That's what seems in the last couple of years that's what brought people in my store. Now, honestly, most days it's word of mouth. Somebody that's been there, had success, is going out saying, "Hey, man," because we specialize. Not to get off the terpenes, but going back to what we do here is we specialize in those terpenes and helping people microdose. Like, get them in our store. Let's wet that system, like I was talking about a little bit with some microdosing. That way, a week or two into it, when they try that higher dose gummy, or maybe they try that puff of cannabis in the first time in 20 years, they're not getting that flip out and going, no, I'm never trying this again.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one thing we want to avoid, because that just helps people get into the stigma of, wait, cannabis is horrible. You're going to freak out. You're going to bite your brother's ear off, or whatever you may have heard from reefer cannabis, reefer madness.
Right.
Like, it's not true.
Now,
Like,
so I've been to a lot of dispensaries, just checking them out, things like that. And you very rarely find somebody that's really educated.
Well,
in
you're
this.
right. You're right. I mean,
there's a few out there.
There's a few out there, yeah.
There's definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to
impressed
find
with
those people.
The knowledge and what you're throwing out, because I'm like trying to soak it all in.
And
Like, I mean, it's
the thing that we
intense.
need out here, like in the industry that I've seen, is just the willingness of the people. Like, okay, you love weed, you just want to sell weed, that's cool. But when you get that person that comes in that wants to ask those few questions, just pass them off to the right person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all that needs to happen.
That's
We need to spend that time. We don't need to make everybody pick off that menu. Some people just want that extra advice, and when we take those 5 minutes, they become a customer for life.
Yeah.
They get as passionate as all of us about cannabis. Like, Even though it's been stigmatized against them, their whole life. No, don't use that. Don't take it. No, we can change that.
Yeah. I tried microdosing once, but it was a failure. I was trying to microdose heroin, but I took 43 pills in the first hour, and I was like, dude, this is
How'd you
ridiculous. Yeah, it took me 6 days to recover.
Holy shit, bro.
Holy shit, bro, right? Oh, my God. So don't microdose heroin. It doesn't work.
No. But don't microdose THC. Just wet your system.
Yeah.
The number of people that get just some relief, feeling better just in general.
Yeah.
Like some
Yeah.
anti-inflammatory effects,
Right.
stuff like that. And like, all right, maybe there's something to this. Let me
Well,
try that 5 milligram gummy.
that is the amazing thing about the terpenes. Reading through this, and you're looking at the chart right now. There's a
that chart.
That chart is right here.
I love it. I love it.
This chart here, right here. It's got a list. It tells you what the effects, the slanting effects, as we talk about with the THC, the medical applications. It even breaks down the smell. Okay,
You'd be better off putting the link to it. Too,
and
because-
I'll throw a link up there. And then it's also got the strains, that you, not all the strains, obviously, because every strain's got terpenes and every strain's going to have a mix of these terpenes in them. But
this
they're
is
just
just
trying to
saying
give you what's
dominant
got the
ones.
dominant ones. So,
And what I've been confusing people with a lot the last few days in my store is why I have Cali Raisins #1 and Cali Raisins #2. And they ask me what the difference is. And I tell them, well, same strand, different phenome. Which a lot of people don't know about.
right.
They come in and they ask for that same strand. They think they're going to get it, but depending on the
don't.
grower, these two strands, very similar. One contains myrcene for that second dominant. The other three are all very stimulating terpenes. It's a hybrid strand, going to give you a nice kind of euphoric pick you up. But that #1 that contains that myrcene, that's the one that's going to get you heavy behind those eyes, kind of those little extra effects that some people are definitely looking for.
Yeah.
But when they come in, like so many people the last few days have been like, how do you have 1 and 2? That's when we're talking phenos,
Right.
different cultivars, just where it's grown. It can be the same cultivar as me and you growing, but growing it across the state, we're going to get different terpenes showing up.
Right.
That's great.
Well,
That's super
myrcene,
impressive.
myrcene's effects that it has for effects is mind boosting and THC amplifying, which that's pretty great. So for someone like me, that's why I like a heavy myrcene. And my favorite strain is actually listed on the strains that they have. Blue Dream is my favorite strain, and it has also Granddaddy Purple, which is another good one I've had, and OG Kush are the three that have good levels of myrcene in them. So looking through this chart, I mean, I think you can. It's custom, and I know you're customizing your weed, and people you can now because we're in a fucking state that, and people are now learning, and our people but people in our dispensaries, our bud tenders, our owners, our operators, like all the way from the top down, as we grow through this market, we can help you cater your weed for yourself. You don't want to eat Cheetos, eat that here, make sure you get high human lean, or you want to stress relief, or get the skin repair. Valencine is listed as effects as skin repair. It's antifungal, insecticidal. I don't know what that means, but
means you can't get ticks.
so, yeah, like you smoke it, like you're just
It could be the reason why in the 1800s, cannabis was actually used to treat rabies. Like in animals, when you got a rabies bite,
Yeah.
they used
Really?
cannabis in the 1800s. So we didn't have a vaccine for it, but these people that were treated with
Smoking
cannabis survived. I didn't know it wasn't smoking. It was tinctures. We had tinctures.
yeah.
We had all, dude.
Yeah, they'd
Up
make
until the
those all-
1900s, there was hundreds of medical,
Yeah.
medicines
Bottles, they had
that
it put in
had
the medicines,
bombs
yeah.
and tinctures and all
So do you
sorts
think
of
they?
stuff.
I guess they would know how to process it back then.
So
and do
we
that, don't you
somewhat knew
think?
how to process
Oh,
it.
yeah.
What would the THC? It wouldn't necessarily be high in THC content, would it?
Not necessarily. It was a lot of high hemp back then.
Yeah.
So there was good stuff, like even in the 1600s, like stuff coming, we know, like hotter regions. So where we were at, like in the southern states, they were actually producing stuff that gave more psychoactives effects. That's why a lot of people in the southern states smoked it for that psychoactive high. But up in the north, a lot of people grew it for the industrial hemp
Right,
and those medical
right,
benefits of
right.
it.
Yeah, we're
George
gonna.
Washington,
We're
and on.
actually. I know
So-
we're gonna. I've heard this. I mean, I've been through the. I love the history of this plant. We're gonna do a whole show on the fucking journey of weed and like.
Dude, you could do a 10-week
I know, dude.
series on the
Docu-series
history
on this
and like
shit.
cover each like
is
kind of
nuts.
like
Era,
literally
every
like
10
1,000
years.
years or something, dude.
Yeah,
Like, You could do that.
Yeah. We talked.
That would be cool to hear those old stories of
Yeah.
medicating with that and like how they actually formulate.
Yeah, I think they're all
Yeah.
those people are dead.
Yeah,
we got cave drawings, man.
It was like that one. What was the?
And little pipes and no, seriously. I'm
It
Native
was
American,
like,
man. They got a bunch of Indian pipes up there.
I do have another pre-roll.
ones.
I do have another pre-roll that we could light. But you had mentioned that you brought Ghost Train Haze.
Ghost OG.
Ghost
from
OG?
Illicit. Yeah, man. You want to spark one?
Let's try it since it's got that high terpenoline in it that we know that he's gonna like. So
Oh, it does.
Yeah, it does have some in there.
yeah, it
It's not-
does.
it's probably coming in 3 or 4 on it.
That's pretty good.
No, it's still up there.
Yeah, that's pretty high. I mean, most of the ones that we've been seeing, the terps are coming in at like 2.5% total. And you're like, that's pretty low, but it's still
That's-
something.
That's the most that we've kind of seen. I think is about 4.3 triple
Yeah.
burger.
Okay.
from
Ooh,
Amaze
triple
Cannabis.
burger. Yeah.
That came. It had one round that came right at 31% THCA.
we smoked that.
True, and it was like 4.1% or something on those
Yeah.
terpenes. It was crazy.
Yeah, we smoked. We actually smoked the concentrate of that from Amaze.
Okay.
They brought it out.
The rosin.
Yeah, the
or-
rosin.
Yeah, the rosin.
the rosin. Yep.
That's the first card. I told Steve from Amaze Cannabis, like those are like.
Did you see
taking a
the new
dab.
carts? They're amazing. Those rosin carts.
Oh yeah, we have the I don't know about the
them.
new ones.
Okay.
So I'm out
thick
of the
ones?
carts right now,
They're
but I have the
like thick?
disposable still.
Okay.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen those yet, but I know what you're talking about.
They got the nice tips on them. They're not as thin. You remember that amazing?
glass,
Oh
yeah.
man, it was nice. I don't want to talk too much about it. They'll be calling me, "Hey, bro, stop, shut up." No,
Hey,
but-
little insights.
They got some shit coming.
yeah, they got
yeah,
some
just
shit
know
coming.
what's coming, people.
Yeah,
Like if you
yeah.
haven't tried Amaze Cannabis, I'm going to be cliche here, but they
Yeah.
are amazing. They're
Yeah.
one of the top brands
Great
that
people.
I've supported since. Absolutely amazing. Steve is awesome. He's
He
one of
was
the
like-
reps. He's the guy I deal with the most. So he's always taken care of us, but he's taken care of us by providing. At that point, it was my medical patients with quality medicine at an affordable
Wow.
price.
Yeah.
And now it's just being passed on to the recreational
Yeah.
patients.
Wow. Yeah, we Stephanie was there too, right? Was her name? Yep. She had the amazed dress. We were talking about the
Yeah, she had the
merch.
dress. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was just nuts.
Yeah. It's
That was a good time.
So going back to the terps, I like I said, get this chart, print it out, start looking at it. I think that with the labeling laws, wasn't that a part of it?
So what's going to happen? I was going to kind of comment earlier. If you're not seeing, like you said, looking on the label, seeing the terpenes, most people now are going to like a QR code.
Right.
You scan that QR code, it's going to take you to all the labs, not just the
The
terpenes.
COA and give them all the
COA,
information.
Yep, exactly.
sorry.
Then if they're not doing that, we're seeing a lot of them. At least maybe you can go to their websites. Maybe not the most updated batch on the terpenes, but they're at least trying. We're seeing an effort to update those websites on like what that latest batches of terpenes, top 3 maybe were.
Yeah.
They're trying to provide more ways. We were hounding it and not just my store, man. I guarantee you it was an industry-wide thing because, like I said, there's good bud tenders everywhere. There's quality ones. There's people that are passionate about this and just want to spend a little bit more time with people. But we all demanded, like, we need to know the terpenes. Percentage is great. But
Yeah, I think everybody does.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we need
And I
terpenes.
wasn't trying to say that all bud tenders.
Well,
Please don't kill me.
I mean,
No,
we love
and,
you all.
and you weren't.
But there's
like,
certain people
there's
that just
definitely
have
different
great
grades. Yeah,
If you're not getting the
100%,
information
brother.
that you want or you need, tell them you want to speak to somebody else so you can learn what you want to learn. That's my
Right,
thing. I mean,
right.
they all might be specialists in different areas and know different things. And talk to everybody. Like
100%.
Tell them what you're going through, what you need, just open up.
And
Like,
we all have different backgrounds that can relate. Like me being CTs, CAT scans for 10 plus years, I know the human body a little bit, essentially, stuff like that, the interaction with the other central nervous systems. One of our greatest assets in our store is our inventory manager, Sarah. You won't see her out on the floor a lot. She's an inventory manager, but she was originally on the floor with us. Absolutely great with patients, but her specialty is taking care of your furry friends. So she came from the pet industry. So using CBD with pets, all the way from your horse down to your cat and dog here in our store.
Right.
We got products for them, literally horses as well, CBD.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Holy
So
cow.
she's really brought that aspect into us. we've got a couple people that everybody like in our store, but every store has those different. When you get a great team, you're going to get people that have the aspects from all different
from
backgrounds,
everywhere.
and because we can learn from each other and mix our information, mix our terpenes essentially, and figuring out different things or
Right.
interacting because we turn each other on to different ones.
Now, if you're buying your own terpenes, like, you know, you get the ones that have like, they're basically strain names. Can you buy
The straight myrcene or linalool.
So my understanding is yes. And
Okay,
it's
'cause I
becoming a
don't know
little
if
bit
I've
more
ever
prevalent.
looked
And
for
I
that.
can't honestly tell you, like, I can't rep for any, like, say this
Yeah.
is a great brand or anything like that because
Yeah.
I'm not doing it myself, purchasing them,
Yeah.
using them.
None
but
of us
I
are
know
qualified.
this is coming. Like, it's not. It's kind of a new thing.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Right.
and
But
that's what I was
it's-
asking. Like, is that going to be like something that they're going to really focus in and on
Well,
the medical side too?
The way we're stepping into it is we have like terpene shots in our store. So I sell like a myrcene shot.
Yeah.
It's just really high in myrcene. You take that whenever you smoke. I have one that's like a nighttime one. Combines a couple different ones.
How about that terpenoline?
So that's not showing up in any of them yet, man. Even in my chill, relax, which would be your anti-anxiety, it's throwing that osamine, the one I never say right. And then it's actually using some other essential cannabis, or not cannabis, but essential oil like terpenes. So the thing with these terpene shots is it's not always going to be the cannabis. It's always going to be one or two cannabis, and then they can include some other stuff too in there. But they're, that's kind of where it's going.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something to watch too.
I'm Bogarting over here, man.
So the fact, the shot is it the shot that you're talking about, this myrcene? It's like a liquid shot, and you
Probably just like a
100%.
fruit flavored
It'll
shot,
taste-
like no
tastes like
THC.
citrus
It's just the
because-
terpene.
Yeah,
just
mango,
a terpene.
citrus.
Does it honestly steer? I guess it absorbs.
It absorbs. Yep. You swallow
Okay.
it. It's just going to interact. That myrcene is going to go to the same receptors that the cannabis is.
Okay.
And it's going to
Okay.
interact. It's going to
That's
give you
interesting.
more of that entourage effect. I have people that swear by that myrcene, swear by the sleep ones.
This might be a.
Could you imagine having like you just fucking have all the terpenes lined up, and you don't give a shit what kind of weed you get? You just, I'm going to do this.
Right.
So there's been
A tincture. You could you get a myrcene tincture?
Well,
Basically,
you could.
you know,
Like, you could do that.
and drop it.
There's been a grower like in the market that kind of was producing great terpenes, stuff like that, but then also came out and people were saying, well, this has to be artificial, this and that, like spraying artificial terpenes. So they have the artificial terpenes that they can spray on cannabis.
Right.
So there's a question there. Like, I'm even on the fence on this right now. Like, is that ethical? We know that it's increasing the medical benefit.
Well,
Should it be disclosed if they're doing it?
Yeah.
Nobody's proved they did it. It was just rumors. But that's kind of like something that's coming into the
think-
industry now. People are obviously thinking about doing that.
Yeah, I think anytime
because
you
there's
add
benefit to it.
anything you add artificial anything to any product, cannabis, you should disclose it because
100%.
most of the cannabis users, I would say, high percentage of the cannabis users are using cannabis because of its natural components, and they like the fact that they can use the drug that's not synthesized, and
And that's not synthesized. That's the one thing. Like
Yeah.
that other ones that are out there that people using. More power to you.
I just-
Everybody to each their own, but that's synthesized. And a lot of
Those
people
in-
don't realize that.
like
it is.
those.
So going back, I want to go back real quick. So you were talking about the myrcene
Yeah.
hitting the same receptors as that THC.
Yep.
Through absorption.
Yeah. So are you saying that any terpene, mango, be what like we were going into the whole thing about like fruits and all that stuff.
Yep.
So those are actually CB receptors. That's what
Are
takes
interacting with
those.
those.
Okay.
Yeah. And other ones
See,
in
I
your
thought
body.
the CB the
But no, 100%.
okay. I was thinking the CB receptors for us were strictly for a
Let me,
cannabinoid.
let me go a step farther for you.
Yeah, please,
That's
'cause
crazy.
explain-
Let that blow your mind.
And I don't mean to sound
So
stupid.
now
I'm
your
just, like,
daughter
trying-
is older of age to use
Yeah.
cannabis if she wanted or anything like that. But I have an 11-year-old daughter who's obviously not using cannabis right now.
I wasn't alone, but
She is not. And my 7-year-old son, he is not. But his body and her body are making cannabinoids, very similar to the same ones found in cannabis. And that's what's being made in their endocannabinoid system
right,
to feed
Naturally.
these receptors naturally.
right.
Now we need medical studies, okay? But coming from my little bit of medical knowledge, to me, my hypothesis is our bodies are trying to supplement. We used to use this system all the time on a regular basis, pretty much
Right.
the majority of people. So we haven't used it for let's say, 120 years here in the United States, couple generations, that's lacking. So some more than others. Obviously some of our parents probably had an active endocannabinoid system, maybe grandparents, stuff like that. But the majority of people chose to take from this. But yet our kids are still trying to produce this. The system didn't go away in our body. We didn't discover this system until the 80s, the endocannabinoid system. But we also have a pharmacist owner who went to school in the 2000s that didn't even learn about the endocannabinoid system. That kind of sparks questions like, why not?
Yeah, why
we
not?
knew it was there. Why weren't you teaching about it?
So let me ask you this. I mean, with your theory, with your theory, so you'd say you take a teenage kid, 13 years old, they go through their normal stuff, right? Normal teenage stuff like, I'm depressed. Yeah. You could literally use one of these terpenes to a tincture or some kind of thing to not THCA,
No, you're
non-psychoactive.
100% on my method, bro.
But something calming, Lunalul. Lunalul. It's a calming effect. My kids ain't got some anxiety. You could naturally, as we go back to saying, take the artificial out.
Take the psychoactive component out of cannabis.
THC is
out of it.
Lunalul in itself, if you're buying the terpene, which we're saying is going to be available or can be available on its own, you can literally dose your kids with that and help boost their own internal endocrine, what do you call it?
Endocannabinoid system.
So when you're at Wild Alchemy, because I've seen these at other dispensaries as well, I've been to Wild Alchemy. So there's carts there that'll actually spell this out for people that are going in and buy as well. They'll say like calming effect.
100%.
Yeah,
I have tons of and it's a poster right now in my store, but like all my patients take a picture of it. There's two different ones that kind of give the breakdown of the terpenes and like what their major kind of benefits are, being how high they're listed in that category, whether it be anti-stress, anxiety, all those different things. Then I have another one that lists basically all the cannabinoids, what their benefits are when you're taking those. But they're posters, but they're some of the most informational posters that like I've seen. Just basic breakdown of the information to get people thinking.
Simplify
about
it.
Yeah, to simplify it. And that's honestly like, I'm gonna take a minute. Like that's what I'm good at. Like I love to be able to break down cannabis for people, like to the point that they can kind of think about it and go, well, let me try to, whether it's medically or recreational, use this, safely and, effectively and get the results that I'm looking for out of it. I hate the fact that society has taught people the stigma around cannabis of you're going to freak out, you're going to have a horrible time, you may jump off a bridge or whatever, you're going to get sick, all those things. And nothing against alcohol, but I'm just going to put it in comparison to, well, when you're 16 and you're trying alcohol for the first time, or even if you're 21, never tried it, you probably go through a few trial and errors where you didn't feel too good. And maybe you were freaking out and you were spinning and you were puking, but society told you, oh, build a tolerance. You'll get used to this.
Right.
You'll develop a taste for it. Cannabis, we can do the same process there, but I've also had success with, like I was saying earlier, let's wet that endocannabinoid system a little bit. Let's saturate it. That way, when you go for that 5 milligram gummy or you go back for that puff for the first time in 30 years, you're going to enjoy it.
Right.
Your system's activated a little bit. It's not overwhelming. Which you were talking about the kids, though, I want to comment on that.
Yeah.
You are 100% on the right path.
Yeah,
what
man, I
I'm
think that's-
thinking, we need to not synthesize this drug. We need to isolate this drug. That's how we do it with clinical studies.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, if you start isolating these things, which obviously they have, they can't put out this information in the charts unless they have some kind of isolation method for doing it. So obviously you just make it on a bigger scale.
Well, there's processings that could actually just take the terpenes off a plant.
Yeah, we were talking about that last week. Yeah. Any plant. And, it's kind of goes back to like we were talking about the artificial stuff too on the new infused pre-rolls that are coming out, like the twax. I mean, it tastes like frickin' bananas, I mean, well, is it artificial? I mean, if it is, I mean, I don't know. I got to make my decision then, which I kind of like the twax, but
I love the twax. I've had it.
I love it.
And that banana is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it's great.
I'll be the first to tell you
but
that.
those are the things, right?
It's their distillate.
Right.
That's
it's
what
their
they're
distillate.
doing.
Yeah. And they
That's
put
what they're
they put the
flavor
terpene
back into
flavor
it.
back into it. Yeah.
And then that's what they're using for that. That's why it tastes so good.
Yep.
But that's exactly what
Are they putting a banana extract in there or anything to get that banana?
You would think.
Where's
I
the
mean,
banana come from?
it seems like the botanical, would be a
But it's the
botanical.
same,
banana peels.
the same type of
Fucking banana peel.
terpenes essentially that are in like mine and yours nicotine vape. You know, they're
Right.
putting flavors back. Like mine right now tastes like watermelon bubble.
Right,
gum, you
right,
know?
right,
That's
right.
obviously some fruit
Yep.
terpenes that they're throwing
Throwing
into
back
that.
in there. And they do have artificial, I guess, and natural. And
Yeah,
I think that's
100%.
the only thing I want to know. You know, that's it. You just
That's
tell me
just
so I can make a
disclose.
decision. Yeah.
Disclose.
Yep.
100%.
Yep.
That's what my whole thing of
Especially
people know.
because as infused pre-rolls come out, higher dosing people like myself and probably you, we take a little bit more THC. We like to try those. Yeah, fuck yeah, I'll take an infused joint,
Right.
100%.
But I want to know.
If you haven't had Modegs is good too.
Modegs?
Modank.
Modank? Oh, yeah.
They
Okay.
got a couple. They have a diamond infused and they have a ice water hash infused.
Oh, wow. I'll have to try that.
Those are good. And the Super J's. I know what's his name commented on
Super
last week.
J's, man.
And that's so they are phenomenal. I can tell you when they first came out, first night that egg roll that they have.
They're out? Super J's are out?
Oh, they're out. Bro.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
okay.
out. They
okay, I'm
definitely
going to try that shit.
Yeah, so
for sure.
They're good. Too.
Terpenes, guys, get your charts. Start looking at it, man. Ask your bud tenders. Head up to Missouri Wild Alchemy and talk to them. I mean, Brandon's gonna be there.
I'll be there. I'm there Monday,
He knows
Tuesday,
shit,
Thursday,
man.
Friday.
He knows
but-
shit.
But also, I challenge all you guys when you go into these places too. Let's get all of them. Let's demand better service
Better
too.
service,
Sometimes,
man.
so if you go somewhere and you're asking for a specific strand, the guy points to a thing.
Yeah.
Tell them this is unacceptable.
Right.
Like, tell me about your products,
Right.
and if they can't, come see me and I'll take care of you.
And
I pro-
there should
and
be.
this industry it's a huge industry, man.
Yeah.
Like, where it's big enough for everybody. Like. And there's good people everywhere, so show your support.
Yeah.
We are mom and pop. If you like local, that's one bonus to us.
Yeah, you guys are actually located at 2173 West Terra Lane in O'Fallon, Missouri. So right next to the El Mazan. So you're good to go.
Yeah, they got
on that
good
one.
food there,
They-
too.
yeah,
Good
great
food,
great
big
food right next door.
margaritas, yeah.
I see a lot of
I like
lunches.
Mowdy's down the way. I don't know if
Oh,
you've
yeah,
been there.
Mowdy's is
Mowdy's
right there,
Barn
bro.
Sale.
Yeah,
They got
yeah.
a really good
Yeah.
cheeseburger for lunch. That's
Yep.
usually my go-to if I'm going out to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, I got a little bit of
That's
Mo
close.
FO20 news for us. So I got some Missouri news for you. Cannabis-related convictions ahead of legal deadline, but some counties remain non-compliant. They have done 40,000 expungements so far. So
In the state?
what
in the
it's about.
state.
that's nice.
So more than
We
40
need more, but that's nice.
More than 44,000 Missouri marijuana cases, including over 10,000 marijuana-related felony convictions, have been expunged in recent months under the provisions of the Missouri Constitution. Those provisions, which are included in the state's citizen-initiated adult-use marijuana law, require courts to expunge all eligibility misdemeanor marijuana convictions by Thursday, June 8th. Several counties, including Audain, Clay, Cooper, Carter, Greene, Laclede, St. Charles, Phelps, Pettis, have expunged at least 1,000 cases. Buchanan County leads the state with more than 2,000 cases expunged. Wow, a lot of pot smokers in Buchanan. Whew, I didn't even think. Jesus Christ. I can imagine St. Charles.
It's a hot
Is that a
spot.
float trip?
I know
Yeah,
shit.
probably.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I mean, that's it. Well, that's good. I mean, it does look like a lot of those counties, like you just said, Float Trip, St. Francis, McDonald, Pettis, Saline. That's another river area. Scott, Clay. Yeah, those are all. Yeah, so that's good on them, man. I'm really happy that Dan Vietz is the co-author of that article. That's in the Constitution now. So he's been in it from the beginning. I've known Vietz has been in this world for a long time. He's very strong Missouri Normal coordinator. Good on that bill, man.
Shit's getting done.
Shit's getting done,
That's what
man.
we need, man. Every step forward is a step.
Yeah,
in the
there
right
is-
People
direction.
need to
It's been
see
too
this
long.
stuff.
Yeah.
They need to know what's going on.
Yeah, they needed to know because it was hey, we voted for it and we passed it, and that's what happened. So I will tell you this: they're looking for the next story that I had was Move Over Cannabis. Move Over Cannabis. Federal agency announces $1.5 million in funding for research on psychedelics to treat drug addiction.
And depression.
So I think I'm.
Oh, it's definitely the next wave.
But we're going there. Cannabis has to be close too. I mean,
Yeah, I think if they do that, the cannabis is right there.
not
with
that I'm
it.
against that. Like, I think it can help a lot of people too. But
I-
let's include
yeah.
cannabis on this, man.
Oh,
I mean,
it should be absolutely.
I think,
100%.
I think my thought on it is that cannabis is natural, and we've done a lot with it, and it has shown its medical benefits. I believe that psilocybin is the same. I think that mushrooms is the same. It's another natural thing that used in a proper. I never even heard of microdosing, and then years ago,
Give me the bag.
yeah, and I'm like, what? Who fucking does that? But what I did realize, years ago when I started hearing about it, I heard about it because I used to be in the IT world, and a lot of the people in LA, in Silicon Valley were CEOs and people of these tech companies were microdosing, and when I really thought, man, it's great. They'd microdose in the morning. They'd show up kind of not fucking high on mushrooms, but for all intents and purposes, microed up on mushrooms, and it helped them.
Help them focus.
Yeah, and it was
achieve. There's some.
And I've heard a lot of positive things about the PTSD and treating that. I mean, it's about the dosage part of it. When we were kids, when we started taking them,
So now, what did this thing do? You said 1.5 billion into what?
1.5 million into funding for research for psychedelics to treat drug addiction. So,
Cool.
Although it sounds like maybe they're just going to repeat some of the studies from the 50s and 60s with acid.
I mean,
And we already kind of know some of this.
Yeah, I mean, here, I'll read the story for you, a little bit of the story here. A top federal health agency is soliciting proposals for a series of research initiatives meant to explore how psychedelics could be used to treat drug addiction, with plans to provide $1.5 million in funding for support relevant studies. As public interest in the therapeutic potential of psychedelics continues to grow, the National Institute of Drug Abuse this week published 3 notices of funding opportunities for research projects to understand how drugs like psilocybin and ayahuasca could help people with substance use disorders, which I find interesting.
So they're going to need case studies. So,
well, it sounds like they need a research company too. It sounds like they need a research company too. We could start a research company and get like all this. Hey man, we grow mushrooms. Come on in. We want to study you, bro.
Company, man.
Yeah.
Toking with Topher.
Paranoid, Paranoid LLC. And then when they come in and get all shroomed up, we just start scaring them and shit. That's freaking them out. No, I couldn't do that. But I do think that's going to be great. I think that's a cool thing that they're trying to get that that done.
Get some of the
Step in the
information
right
from
direction.
that.
It looks like they're found.
I'm sure there's breakdowns to that, just like there is to
100%.
There has to be,
dude. If people are getting, I personally know a couple of success stories of stuff that was using mushrooms, that have really changed people's lives. So there has to be some breakdown for that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, good on that, man. We're hoping, and it looks like they're just, as far as that kind of, the psychedelics, they're following the same path as cannabis. Here's the medical benefits of it. Here's the psychoactive benefits of it. So good on them, man. I mean, I've done shrooms, man. I like them.
I think they're all right.
I think they're cool, man.
The pharmaceutical healthcare is definitely needed. We've advanced. We've saved people's lives, but I also think that we got to a point where we've overused that. I saw it with my own eyes. That's why I'm not in the medical field, healthcare, anymore. That's why I'm where I'm at for this healthcare. Any step more to natural medicine is a step in the right direction for this country.
I agree.
Because it's self-sustainable too.
And as we just spent,
Grow your own.
as we just spent 40 minutes discussing not just getting high on THC, which is one cannabinoid out of, whatever, but the terpenes and how that affects the body. And that was very interesting. So, we know there's a lot to it. I got one more story. Congresswoman urges Biden to act on marijuana now as negotiations continue on the banking bill. A key congressional leader on cannabis issues is pushing the Biden administration to take action on federal marijuana scheduling now before the upcoming elections. And in the meantime, she said she's cautiously optimistic that Congress can pass a more limited banking reform, by the prospects are complicated by Republican control of the House. But they did say they're trying to get a vote on the banking law within the next 2 to 3 weeks is our timeline on that. So hopefully something will come to relieve us of that horrible way that we got this fucking country set up with cannabis. So 100%. That's Mo FO20 news for you guys. I want to welcome Branden again from Missouri Wild Alchemy dispensary The address and information is right here. Go visit this guy. Go visit this dispensary.
You keep pointing at me. I'm like, I don't have it.
Yeah, no, but you have it. You have it right here.
Man,
Yeah,
I
right
appreciate you guys letting me come on.
Absolutely.
Oh, dude, this has been a great show.
Yeah, it's been
It's
awesome.
been so interesting.
Very interesting, very educational.
Yeah, it's
You
awesome.
guys, make sure we reach 400 followers on our Facebook page.
Cool.
Thank you guys.
We're on our way, Ma.
Yeah, man.
In there, man. That's awesome.
Keep smoking weed, man.
Hey, I was one of them today, so I helped get you guys.
Yeah,
I'm proud
thank you.
to do it.
Yeah,
man.
you
It was
have.
awesome.
You've officially toked with Topher.
Exactly, man.
So keep sharing and liking, man. Share with your friends. I know Austin at the dispensaries. He's been telling his patients. Hit the show. There's some.
That's what I'm gonna do. The same thing.
It's
This is educational. For
it's
people, man. You
educational
guys
for
can
people.
change the game.
If you haven't seen the past episodes, we've got some great episodes, and every one of them is informative, and every one of them is on a topic on this this plant, cannabis. So like us, share us. And don't be a stranger. Email us stoner@tokingwithtopher.com. Stay
Thanks
stoned,
again,
guys.
guys.